My name is James Williams Jr. This is Comfort Having number 2. It is 1:15, May the 22nd. I was talking about my grandmother Ada, which was actually my great grandmother Ada, and her brother John, and her daughters, my grandmother and my Aunt Carrie, etc., etc. I got off track. So I'm going to talk to you now about Native American assimilation into what the white man, or the Europeans, or the Spanish Europeans, or the French Europeans would like to call Native American assimilation into what they wanted us to be. All right. So as you know, if you're not famous or fond or know about Native American history, and we should all know that Native Americans are Asian. Got that out the way. Good. Okay. So Native American braves, scouts, chiefs, and squaw all had long hair until the European takeover of America happened. Most tribes never had short hairs outside of the Mohawk, I believe, because the Mohawk had that as their hairdo, the Mohawk. So when we had to be assimilated into the pale-face rules of the world, haircuts became mandatory for men. Not so much for the women, but for men, they became mandatory. And you no longer had long flowing locks. You had like the buzz cut or the bowl, where they put the bowl on your head. I used to rock it all the time, so I know for sure the bowl. And the it was basically them branding us and assimilating us into their fraction of how they wanted the world to be. Then after all these battles with Cochise and Geronimo and Sitting Bull, they decided, okay, you guys can keep the hair, but you guys are going to live where we want you to live. You're not going to live where you want to live. You're no longer going to run wild and ruckshaw all over your country. You and all the tribes are going to sign these treaties that are going to put you on reservations, and you're going to have to live there. And you're not going to be able to come off there. While we also collect slaves and do other things, as long as you're in your little part of the world, we won't shoot you. With the gunpowder that Marco Polo stole centuries before to make the Europeans extremely dominant. Anyway, in closing on that part, the thing about the hair. For most tribes, hair is a symbol. It wasn't just an idea, it was a symbolism of, your status. And if you had really long hair and it was like nice hair, whether you were a man or a woman, that hair was important to the Native American tribe. It's also important to a lot of tribes in Asia, like in like China and stuff like that. But we're not gonna go there because we're not going to talk about the Chinese. We're talking about Native Americans. And we're talking about like the hair and the symbolism and all that stuff. You know, most of the men had braids and they wore their braids just like the women wear like on the two sides and stuff. You see pictures of Sitting Bull. I think Geronimo is like the only one I'm pretty sure didn't really have long hair. I know Hiawatha had long hair. I know Sitting Bull had long hair. I know damn it, why can't I think of his name? Moon Runner? I can't remember his damn name. Anyway, they all had long hair. So, and also depending on what tribe you come from, most of the time, with the exception of the Mohawk, they had long hair. So they started cutting our hair and making us more European looking, while assimilating us into what they wanted us to be. Now, a lot of people are probably going to reflect on this and be like, oh, you're being a racist. No, I'm smacking you in the face the way we were smacked in the face with some starred hardcore truth, okay? So, you might not like this video, and if you don't, you can feel free to turn it and voice your opinion. But the truth of the matter is, if you pick up any history book about Native Americans, we got put on rocks of land that was barely habitable, but they still made it work with maize and stuff like that. And if you want to get real technical and nasty with me, if it wasn't for us teaching people how to do irrigation here, this country would be totally fucking different. And in fact, the only reason this is the way it is because superior firepower. Simple as that. Superior firepower. Bows and arrows versus musket balls and gunpowder. Yeah, not a whole lot of victories coming out of that one. So, you survive even if it means surrender. Because it wasn't slavery, it was just captivity. Right? There's a difference between being a slave, because you're in captivity as you're a slave, without a question of doubt. Your ass is somebody's property. Where if you're a Native American and you're in captivity and you have like maybe 7,000 acres of land that you have to split with like 190 something odd people, and you put on different reservations around the world where they give you this much of a state that you can live in, and it's probably like the worst pieces of the state. So you kind of might think that that was racist, but I'm like I said, I'm gonna smack the hardcore truth, and you're not gonna like it. It's just that damn simple, and I'm sorry, and no, I'm fucking not. But if you don't like what I say, you have the right to change the video to something else that you probably won't like. But the thing with the hair, I mean, how dare you? You know, we scout people and took it home as trophies. Yes, we did. Motherfuckers ain't gonna like that. Native Americans aren't gonna like that. But hey, it's the fucking truth. We scout people and we got scalped. But I don't honestly recall who started the scalping. But I think like somebody might have started the scalping and pinned it on Native Americans so that that would give people an excuse to hunt us down and scalp us. So before this thing gets rough and heated, I'm gonna end it by saying, when you weigh the pros and cons of everything that's been done to people of every ethnic background, we're all fucking monsters. Some of us just don't want to own it. But we're all fucking monsters. Whether you be a Native American, whether you be a white man or a black man, we're all fucking monsters. And the problem with being a monster is that we don't want to own the bad shit that we do. We only want to own the good shit. And you can't do that because you know what? You have to own the bad shit as well as the good shit. No. And to quote the American Sniper, you gotta meet your maker one day, and you gotta pay for everything bad that we've done, good or bad. So hopefully all your good outweighs your bad, and society in itself, the good spirit is watching us, and he knows we're fucking up. He knows we're fucking up royally, and this has happened in history before by going by the Bible. He drowned us the first time. The next time was supposed to be hellfire. So we need to get our shit together, or we're gonna burn. So let me end this on a hopefully non-effective, peaceful note of pissing people off, because I have a knack for that. When Native Americans were taken off the land and put on a piece of land, we didn't lose our will to fight. All right, we did not lose that. But what we did lose was our freedom to go wherever the fuck we wanted to go. And we don't have that. And now, centuries later, Native Americans are still having these fucking issues of not being able to keep what's ours. And I'm not a full-blood Native American, but I speak for them when I say that, some shit's ours. It's always been ours. It should always be ours. Stop fucking with us. You know what I'm saying? And I say this because it wasn't until like the 1940s or the 30s, it was 30s or the 40s, possibly the 50s or even the 60s. Native Americans weren't even considered Americans, but yet we were here first. Do your Googling and research that, and think about how that makes a person of Native American ethnicity feel to find out that although you were born in this country, granted you might have been born in a fucking teepee or something, but you weren't considered an American until Roosevelt or Eisenhower or Hoover or whoever the fuck it was decided that we deserve to be considered American citizens. What? We deserve to be American citizens. Hold on, what? Okay, let me Google that before I end this video. No, I'm just going to end the video. But how can you sit back and say that the people who are indigenous to a land that you solely swam across the ocean for on a boat and decided, well, even though you guys helped us survive before we brought slaves in, this is how this is going to work. Slaves are going to help us fight you and put you on a piece of land that either you survive or you die on. Not only that, may I mention that you brought white people diseases over that we didn't have before, and that would be like smallpox and Shit, this land was pure, disease free until um, integration happened. And when I say integration, I mean the conquering of the Native American people. All right, I tried to put that as nicely as I can, but straight up and down, as a person who's partially Native American, we got our asses kicked, and that shit wasn't cool. And the only reason we got our asses kicked again, Marco Polo, stealing gunpowder from China, superior firepower, and um, good planning. Now I'm not gonna say superior intellect because technically you didn't really have superior intellect. You just had superior gunfire, and you got blessed. Simple as that. So that part's over. And I wasn't trying to be racist or anything. I'm just dropping the truth to everybody who's watching and who gives a damn. And if you don't give a damn, hey, thank you for putting up with me for as long as you have. But you know, the thing is, if you watch Facebook or if you're checking out some of the Facebook plots from like a bunch of Native Americans, social media is telling the truth. You know, there are a lot of Native American issues. And if you don't want to hear it from me, then you can go straight to North yourself, the Native American Rights Foundation, and you know, if it wasn't for the fact that we could have casinos and things like that, Native Americans wouldn't have anything. That's why we also had to have tribal police and shit because the white man's laws were not really fair to Native Americans since they got here. So, in closing, if you don't like my truths, again, I'm not sorry because it's the truth, but you know, you can Google it and you can read these history books and see just how much the Native American people have suffered. I'm James Williams Jr. This is Coming Traffic 2. Be seeing you.